DUI checkpoints, the 3 Ws: what, where, and why. As you can see in this video, we have an individual pulling up to a DUI checkpoint. Now, it's important to note that DUI checkpoint laws vary with each state. There are only 10 states in the United States of America that find DUI checkpoints unconstitutional, and North Carolina is not one of them, which means DUI checkpoints in North Carolina are in fact legal. However, officers have to abide by strict regulations when conducting these. As you can see, the officer is asking this young man to roll his window down so they can talk. Perfectly fine. This gentleman rolled his window down about halfway, which is also fine. As long as the officer can see and hear you clearly, that is all that is required.
Okay. Hi there.
Hello.
Can you roll your window down for me a little, please?
That's enough.
What's that?
I rolled it down enough.
You've rolled it down enough?
Yes, sir.
I see.
As you can see, this officer is asking a few questions. Legally, the only questions you have to answer are, do you have a license and do you have a registration? Officers are going to try to ask a few questions to determine if you have been drinking.
Okay, well, we're doing a stop DUI checkpoint here tonight. And where are you coming from?
Coming from work.
Coming from work. Okay, any alcohol to drink?
I don't answer questions.
I'm sorry?
I don't answer those questions.
As you can see, this individual is refusing to answer questions because he says he's not under suspicion of committing a crime. While this is partly true, the officers do have reasonable suspicion built in the law to orchestrate these checkpoints. Now, the officers cannot use these checkpoints to investigate any other crimes without reasonable suspicion. For instance, they can't set up checkpoints and then ask you about a theft or a robbery. In North Carolina, in order to establish a checkpoint, the officers in the police department must do 5 things. First, the checkpoint must be random, and in a sense, it means they must check every car through that checkpoint, or they must have a systematic approach to it, meaning they may check every 5th car, every 10th car, and so on.
Okay. Am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're being detained at this point. It's a checkpoint.
Under suspicion of what crime?
It's a DUI checkpoint, sir.
Are you suspicious that I've been drinking?
Absolutely. That's what we're doing. Everyone is being stopped tonight.
And as you can see in this video, the officer lets this individual know that there's posted signage that there was a checkpoint ahead.
Okay.
There's adequate signage up here that told you as you approach this that this was a DUI checkpoint, correct?
That's
Did you see
correct.
those signs?
I did.
That is also another obligation that the officers must do in order to have a valid checkpoint. There must be clear signs that a checkpoint is upcoming prior to the checkpoint.
Okay, you had the opportunity to turn or proceed. You chose to proceed through. Okay? So now you have to submit to our questions, and that's it.
Now, while this gentleman drove through the checkpoint, you do have a legal right to turn around and avoid the checkpoint. The catch is, if the officers see you leaving or turning around to avoid the checkpoint, they do have reasonable suspicion to follow you and stop you and check to see if you've been drinking. Now, it is important to know that during these checkpoints, the officers can't issue a citation or a ticket for another offense. For instance, if you pull to the checkpoint and your license is suspended, the officers do have the legal right to write you a ticket or a citation for that offense.
So you understand what we're doing out here. We're not trying to harass you. Okay? This is just a simple DUI checkpoint. Okay? You roll down the window, we can smell inside the car. That tells us whether or not you've been driving. You understand that?
I have been driving. I do
no,
admit
I mean
to
drinking
that.
and driving. Okay?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to be smart with you. It's been a long night.
As you can see, this young man and these officers have a bit of a back and forth, but it is polite and it is respectful. This individual has the absolute right to refuse any other questions other than provide his license and provide his registration.
Okay?
I'm well aware of the law involving the DUI checkpoint, so you have the ability to stop me briefly and detain me for 25 or 30 seconds.
If you don't want to communicate with us, we can't determine, right?
The individual was correct in saying that the officers only have the right to detain someone for a small period of time to determine if they have reasonable suspicion that you've been drinking or not. Now, it is important to know that officers use speech, the condition of your eyes, your body language to determine if they have a reasonable suspicion if you've been drinking or not. If they do, and they ask you to submit to a breathalyzer, while you have the absolute legal right to refuse, please note that a refusal to a breath test is presumed that you're guilty and you'll likely be arrested and have to deal with the following in court.
So,
Am I free to go or am I being detained?
do you have anything on this one?
No, I've hardly talked to him.
Okay, I don't have anything. Have a nice night, sir.
You too.
And as you can see in this video, again, this young man was very polite and respectful to the officers, didn't raise his voice, They had great conversation. In the end, the officers did not have reasonable suspicion to think that he was drinking and to administer more tests, and they let him go. However, if you find yourself in this situation or anything else, please feel free to reach out to us at 980-999-9999. And as always, in pain, call Shane.
In pain, so I call Shane. 980-999-9999. In pain, call Shane.